What's good, man?
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Man,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing all right. How are things at your place for lockdown now?
Uh, Regular things.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of illustrating a book, so just working on that.
nice, nice. Sweet, man. Well, do you got about like maybe half hour to
Yeah,
answer some
absolutely.
questions?
Yep.
Sick. All right. So, I'm honestly I'm super excited to have you a part of this again and to be able to at least talk to you. It would have been awesome to be able to still get everybody together, but I think going forward, doing things over the phone is probably the safest bet. Um,
Absolutely, man. Different
but
times, so
yeah, but
nothing stops. You just got to keep it moving.
exactly. You just change the way you do it. That's all. But I'm really excited to introduce Leon Robinson, aka Eklipz. Um, if you don't know, man, Crown of Thorns, Live and Direct, The Boom Spot, Art of Eclipse, Hip Hop Homage, the I Was There documentary. Like, I'm sure there's a whole list of things that I could go on about with your accomplishments, man. But I'm really happy to have you be a part of this. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for including me.
Basically, I wanted to revisit the hip hop portrait series again, and this time kind of address it in a way to not just pay homage to the people that I respected, but to put that together into a book now and showcase that to as many people as I can about Hamilton's hip hop. And of course, the book wouldn't be complete without having you a part of that. And so I wanted to ask, just right off the hop, when were you first introduced, or what brought you into hip hop here in Hamilton? Like,
So my introduction to hip hop was pretty well on the outset of when it occurred because I'm born in '73 and hip hop was born in '73.
yeah,
So I feel like the energy was just embedded at that point. But I was a youngster, and one of my brother's wife's brother, so that I guess would make my brother-in-law, I guess something like that.
yeah, yeah.
He um he was a DJ for Sunshine, so it was like a DJ crew that would spin at Roller World.
Okay.
So Roller World, the roller skating culture was early in the hip hop vibes, and they were getting records from New York, and they were getting a lot of the music. It wasn't like just coming through on radio. So
Right, right.
they were actually the tastemakers at the time, and I just happened to be at right place, right time, and I was a shorty, so I had to go everywhere my older brothers went.
Right.
So I was like the youngest in the crew, and I was learning how to break dance, and I got a pressing of the message, Grandmaster Flash,
Nice.
Furious Five. So the message was my first, and it was literally that, the message. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
man.
just felt it.
Oh,
Before that, we were skateboarding. We were like, I came up and rocking the ACDC shirts and all of that. But when I got the message, it was like, oh, okay, this is me. Like
yeah,
this is for me. Like I could see where my identity was. You know what I mean? I could
for
see that
sure.
it started to just, be everything. So the breaking was my first love. I wasn't writing rhymes yet. I got into the break dancing,
Yeah.
and so we'd be breaking in the middle of Roller World, and there was a group called Tyler's Connection, which was a breakdance group put on by Mr. Tyler, who was an older gentleman that had came from the States but lived in Hamilton. Yeah, he put together a squad of breakers and whatnot. And
Oh,
I
that's
was
sick.
there for a little short time with that crew. But then where I was at was Oriole Crescent, so it was East End government housing,
Yep.
and we formed a little crew with some dudes from Churchill, from around the rec center. So we'd be breakdancing in Churchill in the gym there, and then we started doing like little breaking exhibition and demos outside of like Robinsons and Kresge's and the Bay and whatever. So they would hire us, and we would break dance for them. And then one year we actually break dance. We got to break dance for Brian Mulrooney at like Hamilton Place.
What?
And we all had these purple Adidas suits, and I had like the Kango to match. And
Yeah.
I remember going into the McDonald's, and we all had the gear on, and I'm, around then the movies were out and the commercials. It was all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just chopping shorties on the corner. It was like,
Uh...
yo, it was like your first superstar moment where it's like, you know what I mean? These girls are just like running us down, and we just felt famous, you know what I mean? We just had the culture. It was just living that culture, you know?
Hell yeah, man. Oh,
that was
dope.
my introduction to hip hop, man. Like,
Dude.
And in that time there was everything. So we started breakdancing. I remember doing breakdancing to rock box in front of the auditorium at school, and all the teachers were going crazy, and we had the mats out, and we were doing flips, and you know what I mean? And it was just, it was everything. You started seeing,
Yeah, yo, it's funny that, I even remember in high school there was still a good amount of b-boy culture, even when I was in an elementary school, and I feel like it's just not. I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing it as much. I know there's dancers out there in Hamilton still rocking it, but
it's about to be an Olympic sport, so
yeah,
see people going back to it.
That's true. That's a very good point.
It's now, it's like, where will you go with it? Battle of the Year,
right?
That was big for a while, and people would run to, go to Germany, Japan, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, now that it's an Olympic sport, I think you'll start to see it come back, and people are starting to get back to it.
I was so hyped when I heard that, man.
Yeah, that and skateboarding, so
yeah,
it's dope.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Dope.
Oh,
it's good to see them moving along with the culture and seeing that these things have been around for decades now. And that was the thing with hip hop. They would say it's going to be a fad, and they couldn't wait. Like they killed it off so many times. The breaking aspect with Captain Crunch or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They put them in a commercial. They'd be like, okay, breakdancing's dead, and let's move on to what makes money from the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So let's just stick to the records and whatever else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that fad's now crept into every little facet of music today.
That's it. It's the number one, man.
Exactly.
It's on all continents. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's the voice of the young, So
yeah,
that's
man.
the amazing aspect of it. Whatever they thought it was gonna be, we kept a control on it, allowed it to kind of perforate around the world. Even though they tried to change it up in so many ways, and they still have a good hold on it in the way of the music aspect, but the culture is what Carlos was saying, right? Like they can never kill the culture.
No, it's still young too. Like it's still
it's
so
still
young.
Growing.
Yeah,
we're just starting to see our first wave of like elders in it, the legends.
For real, yeah. More and more, I've been hearing that conversation of like top rappers over 40 kind of deal, right?
Yeah, 20 years, 25 years. This album dropped 20 years ago. This album dropped 25 years ago. Like it took a while for that to happen.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. So. I gotta ask. So you've been like, this has just been your life. Like some guys I ask like, how long have you been active in the scene? And it's like, no man, just even from what you were just describing, that's heavy as everything, man. That's you were born the year it was born, right?
It's been my life, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
Even in this age, I've never really put it down. It's still one of those beats that kind of pushed me along. From then I got into, right out of high school, opened the Boom Spot pretty well. I got into doing my own clothing line. While I was in high school, I was airbrushing clothing for people. So I'd be going to jams and people would see me in my gear and be like, yo, that's dope. Where'd you get that? Thinking that I ordered it from, the States or whatever. I'd be like, no, I made it.
Nah, man.
Like, oh, can you make me one? So that's when I got my entrepreneurial spirit, because I'd be doing a shirt, $40, $60, and it's hand over fist. People are like, yo, let me get one. I can't keep up, So then I was like, man, I got to screen print some of this, because the flavors that I'm giving out, I got to be doing it. It's taking me, 5-6 hours to do one.
Yeah.
I got to screen print them and run it. So that's where I started my own clothing line called Projects. And I started screen printing shirts, and I'm all city because I'm at clubs and I'm dancing, and I'm pretty known as a pretty good dancer. So I'm meeting everybody from on the mountain, and that's what the thing with hip hop. We all could connect around that. So I'm meeting people from Oakville, Burlington, Mississauga. We go to jams wherever, and I'm known as one of the dancers out there. So yo, you gotta battle Dwight and Dwayne, or you know what I'm saying? And so okay, well, let's meet up. We're out there battling and stuff. So I'm starting to meet people all around. The Golden Horseshoe kind of. Well, not really that. Not out Buffalo that way. We would go out there to shop, but not really connect with the people out there. But going towards Toronto and Pickering and Ajax, like we're meeting people, So and through that, people started picking up my clothing a little bit. A friend of mine, God bless and rest in peace to Greg Preed, but he was the dude that ran Crafty Grooves up the mountain, and he had a little store up on Brucedale there. And I met him. He had like a skateboard kind of, graffiti type vibe to his clothing, and I was doing like a graffiti type hip hop vibe with mine. He wanted to get a screen printing press, so he was like, if you want to pitch in on it, we'll both go half on it. We'll just, own it, and we could both do our own lines on it, as well as we could, start getting some jobs. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. So we both put up half the bread. And the spot we were up on the mountain just wasn't conducive to business because it was off the beaten path,
Right.
I was like, man, we got to move this downtown, So
and that's when
we stayed up there. Yeah, we stayed up there for about a few more months. We started to do our lines. He did his, I did mine, and then we moved it down to our first spot was 125 King Street East, and then we were there for a few years, across from the Denenders there.
Yeah.
And that was the first location. After about 2 years or so, it wasn't making funds the way we thought it would. It took a little time to come and start to be able to take care of both of us. So
for sure,
views to go and get some work and be able to make money. So he ended up wanting to leave the business, so I bought him out. And I kept the name and kept the business going. And then I moved up the block to 181 King Street East.
Yeah.
I was there for another 4 or 5 years, and then moved up to 277.
77. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
That was the next one on King and Catherine, and that was the last one. It was the big, big spot with the big signs and stuff like that. And,
dude. I think that was the first time I was at the Boop Spot, was at that location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, we did all types of stuff. We made fashion shows. I was on the BMG street team, so I was working for the record labels and promoting hip hop, and we would do jams and put on shows, and we brought people in, and I was working for BMG, so we ended up bringing the Alcoholics through to the X Club and stuff like that. So doing the radio show Live and Direct with me and Realistic.
We
did Concrete Canvas, which was the graffiti showcase that we did on top of Jackson Square, which was a 4-element hip-hop festival over a weekend, and that was like pre-everything. So one of the first weekend hip-hop festivals in Ontario, so.
When you think back to some of these classic shows and like the beginnings of really kind of bringing this culture to a serious level in the city, how do you think the scene has changed from then till now? Do you think there's been like a positive growth, or do you feel like we've kind of
I'll be 100%. There was nothing like the vibe of when that was occurring, because and to be honest, I was a positive push in that, and I made sure that I was very inclusive. I allowed any and anybody that had skill. I was not exclusive. I wasn't, territorial. Like if you had skills and you were coming in from Sarnia or London, like Water was from London, we came through, open arms, like get up. You know what I'm saying? And it was very, very important for me to be, unbiased. I mean, if your shit was whack, I was like, I was also on some like. Nah.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't fit the stage for this year, but get better in next year. You know what I'm saying? You still got to curate the thing. You you still got to curate the culture, because you got people that aren't really seeing what this is about. That's their first time partaking, right? So if they're gonna come out and sit up on top of the mall for the weekend, and you want to showcase, but also give people that are just up and coming at stages a spotlight to express themselves as well, right? So, but it was just so much of a community, It was and then the way I programmed Live and Direct and Realistic, like it was conscious hip hop, you know what I mean? And we tried to showcase and highlight the best parts of hip hop, and obviously, you had your MOPs and Mob Deep and whatever, you know what I mean? So you spotlight the street life culture to it as well. It was good balance, you know. And then with the store, you had the ability to sell the mixtapes and the graffiti magazines and the spray cans and the tools, and you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah. So you had
and
that,
then
yeah.
there was a lot of clubs that you could, you know, access at different nights, at different weeks, at different spots, and so
That's a big difference from now.
yeah, it was a very much a community feel, and trust me, like some of those spots, like they weren't open to hip hop, so I would go and build with them and talk to them and show them what it was, and you know, then you
Yeah.
know you have a little bit of cachet because I had the business, so they, you know, oh okay, so you can start to say, well, this people's gonna come, and you
Right,
know, and
right.
they could kind of see what the vibe is gonna be, and then you do it one or two times, and the night goes off successful. There's no fuckery, you know, and there you go. You got a foot in the door, and you can build from there, right? So
Yeah, man. Which
so
is
that's
always the case too, right? You know, I've felt even for myself with some of the shows I've done, even still after all these years of there being hip hop shows at these venues, is you still deal with a little bit of that hesitation.
apprehension,
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, and then there's times where you know some stuff does show up there and it spills over, right? But
It's true. Yeah.
due to the fact of who I was in the community and you know the respect, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, concrete canvas, like, you know, that we were. There was a time when there was Bloods and Crips, like, you know, the
Yeah.
Asian Bloods and whatever. It was very prevalent. There was
Yep.
a lot of fights, but they would be up there on top of the square and nothing would really pop off. One time it popped off and I went over to them real quick, and rapidly it just, you know, because there was other people that, you know, some of my
Yep.
older brothers and sisters and people, you know what I mean? So it just got squashed real quick. And
Yeah.
people wouldn't really come there with that too much, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one of the good things. It's like, yo, just having that respect level where people know that, yo, this is so and so putting it on behalf of the whole community, and we don't want to mess it up for everybody else. So we would make sure that, you know, we didn't handle no type of issues or beefs at
For
the
sure.
spot, you know? So
For sure. Yeah, I felt Steel Gold had a bit of a that same vibe for me, because that was my first foot in the door, was through Steel Gold, to get in with the community here. Yeah, I look back even just from now till even then, which was only maybe about 8 years ago, 10 years ago, not that long ago, really. The community that was there, that was what was the greatest. Is you could, every first Thursday of every month, you'd see everybody kind of roll through and say what up. As venues died off, and a few people have gone on to discuss about how, you know, just living expenses nowadays makes it difficult to go to shows every night, or
that and the age, right? Like all
yeah,
of us, like
that
I'm
too.
47 now,
Exactly,
right? Like I don't
right?
really find myself in a club, you know what I mean? Unless it's like, you know, and I'm not rhyming no more, and like, not to say I'm not rhyming anymore. I'm still writing. I still, you know, I still love, you know, putting the pen to paper, and
Oh yeah.
I aspire to maybe get back in the studio and put together a nice solo album at some point. You know what I mean? But you know, back in the day, it was like, you know, you still want to get out to the shows, so and so's passing through or whatever. And now I still
Exactly.
got, like, you know, my sons are writing and performing, and
Yeah, I'm
so
gonna say, yeah, they're the prime age now to start getting ready to want to do shows,
absolutely
right?
And now with the experience that I have and the connects and whatnot, like the other day I'm sitting here and I just threw up, you know, a little snippet of my son's beat and something that he did online.
Dude.
And Dice Raw from the Roots hits me up and is like, yo, that's dope. Let me get a package of beats from your son. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow. And I'm like,
What?
I'm telling him, like, you don't know what we would have did back in the day for these
Oh
type of
my
connects
God.
and stuff like that, you know? So,
dude,
yeah,
I'd be losing my mind. I'd be losing my mind. You kidding
I
me?
was. My son didn't get it because he didn't know who it was, right?
Right.
So he's just like, oh, he gave me all these little like light beats. I'm like, nah, man, we need some boot bag. He's like, but that's not what I do, Dad. So I'm like, all right, cool. Granted, you know. So,
Yeah.
And you know, but he's working on some music right now. That's just
amazing.
incredible. Man. He like I constantly, I'm just listening through his door as he create, and I'm like, okay, yo, he's got to drop this. And, you know, and he's holding on to a lot of his stuff, but
oh,
you know,
man,
slowly but surely he's been talking about an EP to drop. So
dude, I'm excited. I love seeing the progress of your children, and seeing how you and your wife both have been such a positive influence on them. It's amazing to see their growth, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of them were, in Queen's Belly as she was on stage or in the studio. So,
Well, yeah,
and I
man,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
for Ezekiel, like he plays piano by ear. The other day, he found my guitar downstairs, and within 3 days, he picked it up, and I'm hearing him pluck away and playing stuff, and I'm like, wow, like I had lessons and whatnot, and I'm not as proficient. Meanwhile, he just picks it up and he's gone with it, So
Yeah, man.
it's amazing.
That's awesome. All right, so okay, I gotta ask this one now. It's these there's kind of there's two questions. So you've been a part of so many shows by now in this scene. Do you have any that stand out for you, even just either performing or just outside of performing, like just watching and seeing somebody that you really loved come through?
Okay, there's a few. The first one was Public Enemy coming to Carmen's or Michelangelo's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so on the hilltop, Public Enemy came through, and I was dancing for a group called Two Wise at the time. So me, my dance partner Walker, Papa Chalk, Raw, and then a couple other people from the crew are in our dressing rooms getting ready to, getting ready to do the show, because it was before the show. And our dressing room doors just explodes open, and Flavor Flav busts into our dressing room, freaking out about why did we steal the chicken?
What?
Why did we steal the KFC? And we're all looking, and it's Flavor Flav, and they're fully stark raving mad, going, yo, B, who got the chicken, yo? Who took our bucket of chicken? And we're like, what the hell is going on? So, like, we're looking for cameras, like, yo, this can't be real.
Right.
And then one of the S01Ws come behind him. He's got the chicken tucked under his arm. He's like, yo, Flav, we got it. Come on, man.
Oh, my God.
He gets out of our room, and, me and we were just, like, all looking at each other like, what the fuck? Yo, what is this? So, we went on and did the show, and, it was just an amazing,
Oh, yeah.
First time seeing Public Enemy live, and, we're opening for them, and we got to watch from the, like, side of the stage, so.
That's dope.
Just amazing, So
that's dope.
That was one of the best, memories. But then after that, my first time rocking a mic was for opening for Naughty by Nature and Black Sheep at the Pavilion 3. So down at the Pavilion 3, they were down there, and I'd been writing rhymes, but I hadn't actually performed live anywhere, So I got to perform like a little. I guess they opened the mic for some freestyles, and I was rocking, and that's the first time people knew I rhymed. So it was just like I was getting mad love and props, and
that's
I remember I got a big up from Drez. I guess he had seen that, you know what I mean?
Man,
me rocking and gave me some props and whatever, and they had a hotel not far from the spot, and they were saying, "Yo, meet up, and we could, kick rhymes or whatever." And we went, and we were hanging out there waiting like groupies and shit. And I remember Mr. Long came through with a couple girls, and he's like, "Yo, all these niggas hanging out here, y'all need to get out of here." My first feeling like a goofy sucker. And I was young, so we just had to leave. And what I'm saying? I'm like, "Yo, I'm never gonna get to rhyme in front of Drez." Like,
oh man.
And them times you're just wanting to get put on, hoping somebody recognizes you and you can get a record.
Exactly right. So, yeah, totally.
And then the most memorable and happiest moment of opening for somebody, I would say, was opening for KRS at the Pepper Jack.
Yeah.
When KRS was there, and I gave him that painting, and the next day he's like, I told him, oh shit, I had mine, I wanted you to sign it. So he's like, yo, take my number and stuff, and he hit me with the number. And the next day I went over to his hotel, and it was just me and him sitting in the hotel lobby, and we talked for about 45 minutes to an hour, and he signed mine, and we were just me and him just kicking it, you know what I mean? And it was like, that was like just dope, because I remember walking to Red Lobster when I used to work there with my Walkman, you know what I mean, listening to his album on repeat, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was just dope to just be able to sit there with him, and it's just me and him chopping it up, So
that's crazy, man. Yeah, that would be an experience.
Yeah, but then beyond that, I had J. Rue in my shop doing an autograph session. I had Dell, the Funky Homo Sapien, in my shop.
Yeah.
I had Damian Marley. We brought Sean P. And for that show, me and Rayhan had brought him out, and we had Ed OG, we had just mad people, man. So
one show that stands out for me that is always a funny memory. You and I had already known each other a little bit, but this was my first experience of like actually hanging out with you for a little bit. It was the Fife Dog show.
Yeah.
And I had my first portrait series up at Casbah Lounge. Yeah. And somebody had stolen your portrait. It was off the wall, and I just kind of like walked over. I was just asking you like, "Hey man, did you happen to just like take your portrait off the wall for just to like show somebody or something?" And you were just like, "No, man, I don't know what you're talking about." And we walked over, and yours was the only one missing.
I remember it, man.
Yeah,
I remember it. And so back up a little bit. There was I don't want to put names in it, but somebody that owned a store in the area was there, a female, and she was with one of her friends who was a male that was very eccentric, to say the least.
Yeah.
And he was giving me compliments, and it was really weird. And I was like, okay, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just ease yourself. He must have been a little saucy or whatever.
For sure.
So, when it went missing and you came to me, it wasn't accusatory, but it seemed like that because you were like, well, who else would take it? You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, what do you mean? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so me feeling like, okay, this dude thinks I stole a portrait of me or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, that's whack. So I started to kind of do my, Inspector Gadget thing right there.
Man.
And, came word that, I think, Shorty took it, So I was like, okay, cool. So I left the party and I walked up to their store. She was there alone with another girl. And I was like, yo, what happened to the portrait that was there? At first they were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, nah, man, come on. Like I said, y'all know me and you know who I am in the city and you know that I'm not no thief and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, my name isn't looking good right now because all the portraits are there. The only one that's missing is me. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And then so she fessed up and was like, okay, well, yeah, dude took it. So if anything, I'll get him to bring it back in within a couple. I don't know how long it took, but half an hour or so.
Not even. Like I remember you leaving, and then literally, like Fife didn't even start. Like the openers.
I filmed all the fights.
Yeah,
right? So,
the openers were still performing, and I'm just kind of like sitting there in the crowd paying attention. Then you just kind of like boom, it's right in my hands. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Holy shit. Yeah. No, I thought that was, dude, honestly, I thought that was hilarious. Because when I seen it was missing, my first thought was, oh, he's just showing some people this shit. That's cool.
Nah,
yeah.
I'm an artist, so I would never take somebody's art off the wall and show somebody. You don't do that as an artist. If anything,
then when you reacted the way you reacted, like, what the fuck? No, I don't know. I was just like, oh, shit. What the...
that wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
No way, shape, or form, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm glad things worked out the way it did, and we were able to track it down and get it back. And then I have it, right? Like you ended up blessing me. You ended up blessing me with with it, anyways. But you know what I'm saying? And you had already told me before that, it's yours or whatever, right? So that's why it was like, you know what I mean? You'd already told me, so that's why when we're like, oh, did you already take it? I was like, nah.
Like, why would I take it? I'm already getting it.
So why would I take it? You're like, oh, it's not there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I was like, all right, man.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. No, I look back at that as a very funny night, to be honest. Yeah. But it was amazing, even just like that, and then being there early enough, I got to see like, not really like I was eavesdropping, but you had started your interview with Fife.
Yeah, we had an incredible interview, man.
Dude.
It exists on YouTube.
Yeah,
it was just nice, and he signed my book, and I gave him a copy, and like
he was so nice. I got to talk to him a little bit after he was leaving, like on the way to his car out front. Like, he's just
super down to earth, man.
Dude, yeah, it was incredible.
That's one of the main things that I've been blessed with doing my book, Hip Hop Homage, and meeting all these cats. And I got to meet Black Thought, which is one of my top MCs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just
man.
to sit down with him, same thing. It was just me, him, and my book, and he's just
Yes.
going off about how dope it is and how Questlove's gonna love it when he gets his copy and stuff like that. And
Dude.
same thing. Big Daddy Kane, I got to sit down with Mos Def. I remember when I met Mos Def to give him a copy of his book. Um, his road manager said, "Yo, don't ask him for a picture because most don't take pictures." So I was like, "All right, cool." So we went back and he's looking at his page, and and it was bad because Talib was in the change room at the same time, and everybody's clowning on him like, "Yo, how come Talib in the book?"
Oh shit!
And I'm like, I don't know. It's like I was just doing most at the time, So, but
Yeah.
anyways, he's looking through, and Moses is like, "Yo, grab me my hat, man. Let me get a picture with this brother." So he ended up taking a picture with me.
That's
So I ended
dope.
up getting that. So
That's dope.
Yeah, me, Talib, and Moses are in the picture, and it was just like
Yeah.
those moments when like artist you revere are giving you props. Like he's like, "Yo, this is so dope," and he's flipping
man.
through the pages, and you know what I mean. He's like, "Man, like what made you do this?" That's what always the question is. I'm
Yep.
like, "Oh man, just my love for hip hop. Like all what you guys have given us in the way of your music and stuff like that.
Man.
That's dope, man. That's a blessing. So
Yeah. I can relate, man, because honestly, you've been a big inspiration for me with this whole series because of that book. That was one of the also first introductions of like getting to meet you and sit down. And I remember buying it from you, and we were chatting in your truck the one day, and it was just you've always been a down to earth and inclusive person. That's the feeling I've always gotten from you. You've been a very open arms kind of guy with hip hop here in the community. It's a pleasure to actually be able to do these kind of conversations with everybody in the community right now, because for me, being able to do this for the community that I'm in right now, and being able to give thanks again, because once again, dude, I'm doing you guys portraits. You're all gonna get them. They're all yours, because I still to this day, like, there's so much love for what everybody has done and brought to this scene here.
It's almost like what drink champs are doing, right? Giving people the roses while they can smell it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's important, man. And
Yeah,
that's what I was doing with my book, and that's what I do. Just like that's what hip hop is, man. The spirit of hip hop is just bringing people together. I mean, if you look at what was happening with the Black Spades and all the different gangs in New York and stuff like that, like it brought heads together to break instead of fight. You know what I mean? To people from one borough would go to another, to the house parties, to the park jams and all of that, and you could be out there and exist and not fight because you know what I'm saying, you're in the spirit of this thing that connected us.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's the same thing here. You know what I mean? Like this music has brought mad people together. I remember as Crown of Thorns, we sent 5 CDs out to one of our sisters out in Taiwan, and would you believe there was a Crown of Thorns logo painted on the side of a building, probably about 30 feet high, just off 5 CDs. You know what I mean? She took a picture, and when she sent back the picture, I'm like, "What is that, Photoshop?" She's like, "No, somebody painted this on the side of a building." Like, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
I was like, "Yo, it's nuts to just know the power of like,
yeah, man,
a vibe, or just anything you do in regards to that. Like it's a spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hip hop truly is a spirit that once it's connected and once it's in you, like heads will recognize it.
Yeah,
and it's just infectious. It becomes energy, emotion, which is synergy. You know what I mean? And and it just spreads. So.
That's what I mean.
That's a fear. That's a fear of a lot of. They try to tamp it down and say it's not popular anymore, and try to just take the worst elements of it because they know it's a unifying force. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man. When people are together, and especially in this kind of community with hip hop, I've for myself, there's never been another culture or community that's made me feel more welcome and at home than hip hop. And
that's the beauty of it, man.
Exactly.
Do you not see like some of these newscasters and shit that drop little Jay-Z barbs here and stuff, and they got Wu-Tangs on their laptops and stuff? And,
yeah, man.
But that's that's what it is.
That's
hip-hop
the power.
Is growing, so now hip hop is in the boardroom and people understand things. So,
yeah, man.
The gatekeepers that would normally be, inhibit the growth of it are now saying, "Nah, let that happen. Let that come through." You know what I mean? Because you know what I'm saying, like. they were raised on the culture. They understand it. You know what I mean? They
Exactly.
got lessons through the music, the same way we did, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's amazing seeing the younger generation. I mean, I'm only in my early 30s myself, so I'm not, you know, I feel like I'm in the middle ground still, but but seeing a lot of these younger guys in their early 20s and late teens, and the work that they're putting in, and the way that there's this new wave that I've been finding. So we've had this like rush of trap and pop, being pushed in different ways in rap right now. And there's some of it that I think is amazing. Some of it is obviously, just reproduced for a pop purpose. But there's this, yin to that yang that's happening, where you're seeing a lot of this younger culture looking at the older stuff again. They're looking past what's on the radio, what's being pushed as popular, and they're finding this new connection and bringing it into a new element with with antiquity, basically. They're looking back at the past and creating something new with it, and it's amazing. I'm excited to see a lot of this stuff, because you're seeing these guys who are over 40 too, putting out more albums. All like,
yeah, man,
dude.
Busta Rhymes' new drop,
dude.
Like, Royce the 5'9's drop, like,
dude. That Busta album, that Busta album is wild. Wild.
Albums, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I appreciate you doing this for me, man, and I'm excited once again to have you be a part of the Portrait series.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate your work and time and energy.
Much thanks, man. Much
For
thanks.
pics wise, I guess you just pull down pics off of our socials that appeal to you or something. That's how you're gonna work from, or?
I am. At first I was doing photos with people out in outside, but that's kind of gotten very difficult to organize. So
Yeah.
I've been pulling down from Facebook and from socials, and
Okay.
finding good ones though.
I have no doubt you'll find something dope to work with. I've been watching the ones you've created for everybody, and I've been enjoying them. So.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, man, we'll be in touch soon.
All right, brother.
All right.
Enjoy your evening. Good talking to you, man.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right.